Could you please briefly introduce yourself?
My name is David Travis. I'm an American male. I'm 38 years old. I've been in Thailand for 6 years.
Could you please spell your name?
My name is David, D-A-V-I-D, Travis, T-R-A-V-I-S.
Okay. How long have you taught English in Thailand?
I've taught English in Thailand for maybe more than 5 years. 2 years in Bangkok and about 4 years in Pisanalo.
And what is the reason why you decided to be here in Thailand?
I was living in Korea. I was a teacher in Korea. And I left my job and wanted a new place to go, something interesting. I was 25 and had lots of freedom in my life, and I felt Thailand would be fun. And I came here and taught at a high school in Bangkok.
And have you ever had any problems or any difficulty to speak English with the Thai people?
Of course,
Also,
on a daily basis.
What's those problems?
The problems in speaking English with Thai people. Well, that's a lot. That's a long story there. I mean, in Bangkok, there's problems, communication issues. In Pisanalo, they're different because not as many people speak English, and so the problem is mine. If I try to speak English, that's the problem. And so in Pisanalo, trying to speak English is a problem. Some people will speak English, but it's often not very clear. And I feel hesitant, I'm reluctant, not ready to reply in English because I feel like they're not going to understand me. So the one is they're practicing, and that's good for them. But for me, it opens the door of speaking English, and I feel like I don't want to do that.
And as you are an English teacher here, how many classes do you teach?
Per semester, per term, maybe 2, 3, or 4 classes.
And what subject do you teach?
I'll teach English, writing, and speaking.
And what is the most problem that your student cannot succeed or acquire in speaking English or study English with you?
Problems of my students in speaking. Well, they have linguistic problems to start off with, right? Learning a second language, that the brain has its own problems. There's also things that are Thai, uniquely Thai. I can say one would be shyness, would be a kind of a classic. Shyness is a problem of all speakers, but I think the Thais have it especially strong. The idea of the social element of class being weighted as heavy of an issue. It's a big factor. Whereas in other classes, the social isn't always a factor, but it can be relegated and put away as something not as important. But in Thailand, it is one of the centerpieces of a community classroom.
And do you think the American culture and Thai culture has the effect to Thai that speak English or use English effectively?
Okay. Sometimes I see. Now, let me answer your question out of the classroom. Some Western culture. American is the same for England. As far as Thailand is concerned, America is England. It's all the same. So I'll say Western culture. There are definitely Western cultural things that are not so welcomed by Thai. For example, arguing, being very frank, interrupting, cutting people off, having a passionate discussion, especially about politics. That Thai people, as a cultural, not even linguistic, just culturally speaking, it's not welcomed as much.
Do you think what is the factor that Thai people cannot communicate with the foreigners successfully?
Okay. Well, well, I can talk for like an hour. Can I talk for an hour? I mean, really. I mean, it's rooted. It's my opinion. Okay, it's only my opinion. I could be wrong, and I admit that I'm wrong. Okay, fine. The thing is, Thailand is rooted in land. It's an agricultural place. So only some people can own the land. Everyone can't own the land. Okay? That's what makes an agricultural society like that. They're usually based on relationships. Relationships to the people who own the land. This is how, in contrast, in America, they have lots of land. If you don't like people, you can go be by yourself. There's lots of trees to cut down. There's lots of rivers and lakes, and you can do it by yourself. You can do it with your small family. Asia's different. You have to work together because there's only so much land. And so when things are contained, and they're not open, when they're contained, relationships become very important. And I think this is the beginning of the difference between an American who might, your question was about ties and speaking. And so when relationships are very important, they become very complex. And people are less reluctant to speak up, to make someone lose face, or even just possibly lose face. Okay? That's the kind of the big one is not speaking, giving your opinion because, oh, who are you, Mr. Big Shot now? Whereas in the West, that's how we get ahead. You know, when you have the open space, you have to get out there and do it yourself. So the idea of saying what you feel and going out there and just doing it, regardless of what people think, is inherently the idea of open spaces. The idea of closed spaces is I have to work with you within a certain context and form a relationship and form something that's meaningful.
Well, I need you to suggest the Thai students to be better in English. The way to learn.
I think the biggest way that Thai students could get better is by reading. And I say that because of input. There's not enough input in this land right here to make any difference. We call that rearranging the deck chairs on a boat. Changing the chairs, putting all the chairs on this side, all the chairs on this side, making a circle, making a square, and there's it's still chairs. You're not making anything. Input comes in and gives you more. And so the problem is with a Thai student, how can they get input? Watching TV, okay, but the words are spoken and they're gone. And if we don't understand them, then we don't have any context. Learning like that is okay, but it takes 20 years. Okay? Learning the other way by walking around and going to like an ECC class or like some academy class can be helpful, but what you find is most students don't practice that on their own. So that ECC class should be 20% of their learning experience, when in fact it's 100% of their learning experience. So that's a matter of input. You said you taught at ECC. I've taught at language academies too. The students go, they want like birds, like feed me English, and they go home. There's no learning going on there. There's nothing, there's learning, but there's no retention. And I think that's the business model that keeps them coming back.
It is similar when you learn to speak Thai or learn Thai.
It's just the opposite situation because I'm in a country where there's Thai all around me. So all I have to do is just walk outside and I get Thai language lesson. So if you travel to America, you'll learn English in 2 months. It'll be better than 10 years of studying here. It's everywhere around you. You can experience it. So the trick is when it's void, when there's a vacuum, there's nothing here. You've got to make it yourself. And paying for it, well, okay, if you want, go to your class, get a good lesson, and you go home, and then what? The vacuum. There's nothing. So how can we create a nuclear reactor? It has energy forever. So when there's nothing outside, it's still burning. It's still producing something. My opinion, that's reading. It's the only thing that's consistent, and it's available. And it's consistent again, okay? So when language is a practice, you have to have consistency. For a Thai person, it's very difficult. I would say reading is the medicine.
Reading maybe is the best way for Thai people because they are learning to speak Thai and how they make the chance to speak English.
That's right.
Like an English group.
And they won't often get that chance to speak English. Even if you're reading all these books and you never get a chance to speak English, well, the first time you speak will be difficult. But I bet money that, let's say a person spends 2 years reading books, small books, and they never speak one word. I would bet that after a week or a short period of time of getting them out, getting them accessed, it'll be like a wave, a big wave, like this. All those connections and all those associations in the mind are there. They're there. But when someone doesn't have those associations, they pay money for someone like you and me to yay, for them to build those associations. If they're there, if the connections are there, it's not a problem getting it out.
Well, we all need to say thank you so much for your assistance for this interview. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Nice to see you.